Let's see. Good morning, nation. John here. Can y'all let me know if you can see me, hear me, please? Anybody's guess? 5x5. Thank you for the 5x5s. Totally not going to rush a. Yeah, don't rush it. It can't be rushed. We got to know for sure if we are 5x5. So, thank you for being here and welcome to Prepper Nation. If you're brand new, consider subscribing. It is the only way we grow. Folks, I've also been trying to do a little writing. I'm in this weird spot where I'm trying to decide which one I need to be doing full time because they're both very time consuming. And whether or not you subscribe and all that stuff honestly dictates what we do over here. So I appreciate the subscribes. First in the house this morning was Kelly Rodolph. Although I'm going to give Michael G credit as well because he was the first one that actually posted a word. Kelly's just pushing little letters and stuff. Beaverines. So long live the Beaverines. So we're going to do a roll call here in a little while. Because I want to find out, the Beaverines, who's in the house a little bit later on. This morning's main topic is what may come next is terrifying. We're going to get into that shortly. Little theory that I've got cooked up, and it's kind of scary. We'll get into that shortly. I need to cover something else first. There have been a ton of questions. Hey, David, how are you doing? So, people have been asking, they've seen a lot of different videos, a lot of different news, maybe some misinformation. John, what is parked off of the coasts here in the United States? We've heard Hawaii, we've heard Alaska, we've heard the East Coast. What exactly is going on? So I just wanted to cover this real quick before we get into like kind of the main topic, okay? So for the past couple of weeks, there's been a merchant vessel that's Russian flagged around Hawaii. And, there's a bunch in Alaska, but that's nothing, that's nothing out of the normal. This one in Hawaii is in international waters. It's not actually breaking the law, but it is not really acting like a commercial vessel. And the Coast Guard has flagged this and said, we think it's a spy ship. We think that they are harvesting information for who knows what purpose. But they're just kind of sort of hanging around there, if you will. Now, off the East Coast, several hundred miles in international waters, I had to watch hours of Pentagon briefings to get this information, by the way, because I wanted to make sure it was accurate. So off of the East Coast, around South Carolina, a ways out, again in international waters, there's a second ship. It is a Russian warship, folks. Again, they're not breaking the law. They haven't done anything to provoke the United States, but it's odd that they're just hanging around. And the transponder on this ship will pop on for a little while and then it'll pop off. I don't know. It's kind of like they're messing with the Coast Guard or something like that. We also have two submarines. Now it's worth mentioning the warship on the East Coast. I should say this, or off of the East Coast a little bit. They have hypersonic missiles, which would be extremely hard for us to stop should they deploy them because we really don't have anything that's fast enough. Or if we do, they haven't made that public yet. It's possible that we have something that would stop it and we just have not told the public. So anyway, there are two submarines that are unaccounted for. One of them, the Coast Guard believes is in the mid-Atlantic somewhere, but they cannot pinpoint exactly where this thing is at. And this is the one that was commissioned just a few weeks ago. Remember, Putin, he did this virtually, and he sent them on their way. All right, this thing has warheads on it, the whole 9 yards. The second one has been gone for a while. It is not in port. It's not accounted for. The United States either has zero idea where this thing is at, or again, they're not telling anybody where this thing is at. Thank y'all for the time. Going some ramen noodles this morning. They're quick. If nothing else, they're quick. So what exactly do we have to worry about beyond, the hypersonic missiles? So the nuclear weapons that this stuff has. The submarines in particular, the newest one, somewhere in and around the mid-Atlantic, this is the one we need to be concerned with, okay? They have what are called super torpedoes. They're also called drones. Now, when people think drones, they think the little things up in the sky hovering around small. No, these are 200,000 pounds apiece. They are 6 foot in diameter, 6 foot wide, if you will, 60 feet long. They're so large that the advanced subs like Russia just commissioned out can only carry 6 of these things. All right, but the big threat here is they travel, these super torpedoes, they travel up to 5,000 miles. So it is believed that the East Coast is within striking distance now. The worst part about this is they can do what is called parking. So they can fire these things off. They have a range of 5,000 miles up to, but they can park them. So they can fire these things off and then stop them somewhere strategically, and they will just sit there until they are remotely detonated. So we have no idea right now if they've already deployed these things, if they've parked these things somewhere off the East Coast. A couple of these jokers would cause a radioactive tsunami. This is according to the Pentagon, and it would wipe out every major coastal city on the East Coast within minutes. So this is a huge, huge deal. Now, the Pentagon was kind of saying, and all the stuff that I was watching, they were playing it down. They were saying, we've heard these threats from Russia before. Every time we send hardware, we've heard them threaten, we're going to tear the armor up. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. But there are a lot of other things happening. Okay. So I've seen video of this, tons of NATO hardware is moving into Ukraine right now via the rail system. Not just tanks, folks, not just armored vehicles. I'm talking about miles and miles and miles of trains, kind of steamrolling stuff in, if you will, for a major offensive or counteroffensive. Moscow, I've seen video of this. They are outfitting Moscow, the city, with anti-aircraft. So they are suspecting an airstrike at some point. Now, I don't know what piece of intel they've seen, but they are putting this stuff strategically on buildings and things that would normally be hit during an airstrike. So during an airstrike, you want to take out infrastructure, you want to take out airports, you want to take out stuff like this, and of course, Capitol buildings and things. So they are positioning this stuff as though they are preparing for a coming wave of airstrikes. And the United States does this. They count on airstrikes first before they go in. So it is something to watch. Both Moscow and Washington, D.C., they know something's coming. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to have a tsunami tomorrow. I'm not going to be that dude, but I'm saying the possibility does exist. It is very possible that Moscow is just bluffing here and that they have strategically placed stuff just in case to maybe kind of scare DC off, if you will, and NATO allies. But it's just no good. So let's get into the main topic for today. But before we do, let me just say this. People have been asking, will Russia boots on the ground the United States, where the poll came from this morning? I don't think so. The possibility is there that they would hit us with one of these. They're called the Poseidon torpedoes, these super torpedoes. That possibility is there. But the only way they would hit us in such a way, or EMP us, would be another way to do it, is to attack infrastructure prior to an invasion. But I don't think Russia has its hands full, to be honest. I don't think that they really have the troops to come in and try and take the United States. But they have the ability to cause total chaos in this country. And if anybody's going to boots on the ground us, it's going to be one of their allies. So just keep an eye on that. So what may come next should terrify you. Yeah, China definitely has the boots on the ground. Paradise Acres. They may not have the hardware to take the infrastructure down, but but Russia is parking it all over the place. So that could be. All right. So I don't want to come on here and I don't want to scare anybody and I don't want to say this is going to happen for sure. And I know some people are going to say, well, those preppers, they're just fence riders. They're saying this may happen, may not. It's because, as I say on this channel before, we're not fortune tellers. At least I'm not. I don't talk to spirits at night. They don't tell me what's going on, son. But it's a gut feeling. It is a gut feeling. It's intuition. Sometimes this gut feeling is wrong. But I will tell you, we called here at Prepper Nation. I'm not the only person that did this. We called the recession prior to the economy bottoming out. We called it. We did. We were talking about it before anybody else really was talking about it, to the point where we were being clowned about it. We called the conflict that is happening right now before Russia invaded Ukraine. We called this 2 years ago. And I have that same gut feeling, that same intuition right now. And I pray that I'm wrong. Okay. Everything, every indicator is there. Everything is just perfect, if you will, for a serious false flag. I'm talking Pearl Harbor level. I'm talking 9/11 level. Everything is in place. You have a boogeyman. The boogeyman is within striking distance. So you can put that jacket on the boogeyman. All right. You have globalists who want to depopulate. You have globalists who really want a war, but they don't have enough support here at home, I think, to get tangled up into another war, especially a world war. People are going to, they want to, I think they want to get people to the point where they are demanding that our government gets involved and gets into the middle of a world war. That's the only way you have that support. Again, Pearl Harbor, and it's debatable, but our government knew weeks in advance that something was going to happen there. Either they just turned a blind eye to all that information, but I don't think so because they moved the fleet out, majority of the fleet prior to Pearl Harbor. If you look at September 11th, we needed a war, or the globalists did anyway. A lot of the powerful players in the WEF worked or were directly connected to the trade centers. I don't know how many people here know that or not. And they never miss work. They were always at work. And for whatever reason, on 9/11, all of them decided, hey, we're not coming to work today. And 48 hours prior, billions of dollars started to shift for no reason from one place to the other. In fact, the man that owned the Twin Towers, a couple of months prior, doubled the amount of insurance he would get in case there was an incident at the Twin Towers. I mean, it stinks to high heaven. In my opinion, it was a false flag. Now, I can't sit here and say exactly why. I can't sit here and say exactly who did it. But I think we were lied to about that in Pearl Harbor. And I think another event is on the horizon. It just seems to make sense. We have an economic crash coming. Everybody in the room knows it. Hopefully, everybody in the chat understands right now the economy is toast. Bankers are not going to raise their hand and say, hey, we did this. My bad, man. My bad. It's on us. We did this. They're never, ever going to do that. When in history have bankers ever taken responsibility for something? No. They're going to try and pin it on something else. If we get entangled into a world war, for example, then they can look over there and they can say, man, that world war really crashed our economy. We had no choice. What we're dealing with right now is because our economy was shut down because of the mandates, but they're never going to admit that. And as it worsens, again, they're not going to take responsibility. The CDC is not going to pop up and say, hey, man, we caused the economic crash, the banking sector. No, they need an event to pin this thing on. The WEF needs an event to pin the economic collapse on, and they need to depopulate. They need a war. All right. The only problem is war right now, world war, the idea of one is not very popular here in the United States. And quite frankly, it wasn't prior to Pearl Harbor. You know, a lot of people were against it. A lot of prominent people were against the idea of getting involved in World War II. Boom, Pearl Harbor happens after they've had weeks of advance notice from intelligence agencies and stuff like that. And then they come on TV. They're like, oh, we can't believe this happened. We must go to war now. Same with September 11th. So I'm not saying anything is coming for sure, but I kind of sort of have that hunch, like it just everything lines up and it just makes perfect sense if you're thinking like a globalist. This is the way these people think. All right. We are expendable to these people. American citizens mean nothing to them. They will throw thousands of us away to accomplish a goal. They really will. And that's not a conspiracy theory, folks. So take what you will into that. But I'm telling you, I'm watching myself. If I live in a major city right now or a heavily populated area, my head is on a swivel for many different reasons, but I'm really, really thinking a false flag would make a lot of sense for these people right now. I want to answer a couple of questions from yesterday and then we'll get right into the chat. Okay. Yeah, Satan hates everyone equally. Exactly. So why are the pet foods short? Somebody asked that yesterday. I caught that on the replay. Pet foods, especially the dry stuff, they have a lot of grain in them. All right. And grain is an issue because of the war in Ukraine right now. Ukraine is not able to export a whole lot of grain because they're under attack. We're not getting along with Russia. They have quite a bit of grain. Most of Russia's allies have a lot of grain. Um, so we're kind of strapped on grain. And it's probably going to get worse. As this war escalates, it's going to get worse and worse. Only so much grain to go around. So they've got to kind of pick and choose which foods they're making. And quite frankly, pet food is way down on the list. Can you Mylar it? Yes, some people do. You're not going to get 30 years out of it by a long shot. It's going to go rancid. It will last for quite a while if you put it in an airtight tote or something. I would go with canned food if I can find it. Canned pet food, and then substitute other things in as well. That's one of the reasons we do green beans and pumpkin and stuff like that, because it works both ways. We can eat it if times get really, really hard, but our pets can also eat it. So it's, that kind of stuff's an incredible prep. People are asking about the whole deal in Memphis yesterday. Apparently, a young man was killed at a traffic stop. The 5 police officers have been fired. They've been charged with the murder or involuntary manslaughter or something. Second-degree murder, I think, was the actual charge. But the Memphis police chief, she said that she has reviewed the body cam footage. They're going to release that tonight. And she is trying to, it must be bad, because she is trying to calm people down already. They haven't even seen the footage. She has said this is probably worse than the Rodney King deal. She is begging the public at this point, please stay calm. If you protest, please do so peacefully. We've already arrested these people. The fact is, it's not going to be peaceful. And other countries are bracing for impact, if you will. Not other countries, I'm sorry, other major cities here in the U.S., they're bracing for impact. A lot of boarding up and stuff, because they really do expect when this thing comes out, the body cam footage, it's going to be hell on earth here in the United States. Probably worse than what we were seeing prior to the pandemic when things were on fire and stuff. I haven't seen the footage. Again, nobody has but the police department, and she said it was one of the most shocking things that she'd ever seen. Inhuman stuff apparently took place. So if you are in Memphis, folks, do not be outside after dark tonight for any reason whatsoever. Even if you got to be at work, call in. If you're in another major city, please be aware of your surroundings, because this thing could kick off anywhere. We really have no idea if it's going to happen in Los Angeles, New York, if it's going to happen at all. But I'm telling you, when the police chief comes on TV and they are pleading with people ahead of time, when you see this, please remain calm. It's bad. All right. So we'll see what we're in for tonight as a country. I need to get on the poll real quick here. If I didn't shut it down. Let me How likely is America to see a boots on the ground attack? 24% of the live chat says America will be hit at some point. If America is hit, I'm gonna say it's gonna be for one of 2 reasons. Either another country wants our resources immediately for war, or another country is trying to stop us from mobilizing. So in other words, if we're churning tanks out that are being used in the war, and they believe they can invade a certain area of the United States and shut that production down, I think they would at some point. 65% of you say anything is possible, 64% now. 12% of you say nope, flip-flops on the ground only. So we shall see. Um, hopefully it's just flip-flops. Now, before we jump into the chat hardcore here, let's do a roll call. Let's find out who's still here. Furry Tree Dweller, thank you for still being here. Star Hunter, Pilgrim Prepper, Lord Eagle, good morning. Mark Sumner, good morning. JRC's up in the house. Jacob S. Mouse, good morning with the hand wave. Amelia, good morning. Dome Seekers, Dome Seeker, good morning. Oh boy, here we go. Dynamite, what's up, brother? Steph L, good morning. Squatch America, good morning. And I've missed a ton of chat, I'm sure. I always go back and watch. Prepper Medic, good morning. Carl Miller, how you doing? Max Havoc, please, if I'm missing you, don't fault me. This stuff looks like the stock market crashed last week. Mike, good morning. Bear Paul, TJ Crawford, thank you. Kiki Soaps, good morning. Thank y'all for being here. What are we, 20 minutes in, 21 minutes in? I appreciate that. A lot of people come in, they'll watch 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and they skate. They got the what is it, the Snapchat attention span, and to each their own, but I appreciate people being here long term. Kid Coleman, good morning. Uncle Charlie says, go dogs. He trying to start a fight up in here. Kelly and the moderators, thank y'all very much for being here. Triple T. So at this point, we're jumping into the chat. Warlord, what's up, brother? I don't Facebook, man. But what I'm gonna do, YouTube and Dynamite, I'm gonna get y'all my cell phone number so you can text or call anytime. Okay. Monica Combs, I try to listen the whole time. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I had a comment yesterday. Somebody found my books through a link down below, and they're like, "Oh man, you're an author. I didn't know." I try and keep them separate, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, folks. It's really, really hard because there's only so much time in the day, and I don't want to work 20 hours a day and sleep 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? So I have to, at some point, I have to pick and choose which is the where am I dumping my time? You know, am I going to continue to write fiction and just play around on YouTube here and there, or am I going to get serious with YouTube and just mess around with the writing? I don't know. This is why I'm starting to watch the analytics. I'm starting to watch the subscribes and stuff like that. Steph L, good morning. Thank you very much for being here. So you're welcome, Debbie. Thank you. So what do y'all think? Do you think the subs and the warships, do you think this is just a threatening posture by Russia, or do you think it's something to worry about, folks? FEMA Region 3, Quest says. Kid Coleman, I want to write my autobiography. Oh yeah, it's time consuming. I love it, but writing is time consuming. And I don't think anybody, yeah, if you have a channel, you know what I'm saying here on YouTube, but a lot of people don't understand how time consuming it is here on YouTube as well. And to try and keep pace and live stream 5 days a week. Michael G says distraction. Phoenix Warrior, thank you for being here. Intimidation. Doctor says, Steph L says, I'm worried. Both, Roy is saying. I think Russia right now, they are probably just trying to intimidate us and to force us to stop sending stuff. But I think that they want that threat there. They want that option there because you want as many options as possible when you're at war. And again, Gen X Prepper, what's up? And again, Germany, day before yesterday, they were giving a speech as they were sending their Leopard tanks. They don't have a ton of those, by the way, but they're sending some to Ukraine, and they were saying they slipped up and they said, "We're at war with Russia." And the lady was like, when she sit down, she's like, "Uh-oh, I made a boo-boo." Um, somewhere in West Texas, I think we, being NATO and the UN, will help during the initial evasion. That worries me more than the true damage from long-term missiles. So you're saying if there was an invasion or we got hit in some way, that the UN and NATO would step in here on U.S. soil and start maybe policing or martial law and people around? If so, um, Backwoods, I'm with you on that. I wouldn't want that at all. Backwoods, I think Prepper Nation should become a professional squirrel guide. Nah. Prepper Trucking says, I'm saying it's battle placement. Yeah, it's been battle placement for a year and a half now. But they're still hitting it. Independent Marine, how you doing, brother? Yeah, to your point, somewhere in West Texas, that would be a nightmare because we have to look at, if you look at this objectively, okay? And I love the United States of America. I love this country. I would not want to live anywhere else. But we have to consider the fact that, and when I say we, I mean our government and NATO in particular, or the United Nations, that we're the bad guys. Again, not us, but we have to take into we at least have to consider the fact that NATO might be the bad guys here, and we might be on the wrong side of the fence, so to speak. Now maybe they're the good guys, I don't know, but I don't really want them driving Humvees around in my town, flying the UN flag saying, "Get back in your home." You're outside after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's curfew, son. Backwoods doesn't want him dragging his wood stove out. But I mean, we could reach a point where martial law is enacted. Joe Biden comes up and says, "Hey, we don't have enough police officers. Meet the new police, the world police, the UN. They're here to protect you." And sadly, that's a reality. Chicken Tender, what's going on? Barnwood Bowles, and that's the issue. Barnwood Bowles says we are on the wrong side of history this time, and it's no fault of our own if we are, but it just, I don't know. I don't like NATO. I don't like the UN. I don't like the idea of, because it never works, of consolidating all of these countries. It's almost like, in a weird way, it's almost like the cancel culture. You have all of these countries or companies, in some cases, coming together, and if you stand up against that, they're going to ghost you. And it just sort of feels like Russia and its allies are trying to stand up to them. I mean, they've said as much. Russia put out a response yesterday. Their ambassador put out a response, and they said, there is no future with NATO. We're going to eliminate NATO. It's the only way. And their ambassador to the United States said that. But this is after Zelensky and the rhetoric, man. Like Zelensky was interviewed on TV, and of course he's saying thank you for the tanks and stuff. But then they said, would you be willing to sit in a room and talk to Vladimir Putin to try and de-escalate things and end things? And he literally says, after the translators tell him, he says Putin is a nobody. Why? Why make a statement like that, even if you don't like the guy? All right, Vladimir Putin. You know what the man's about. You know that comment is going to piss the man off. And you know that you're going to get hit 10 times as hard now. And it's just going to escalate things beyond control. I understand why Zelensky would be upset with that. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, I don't respect Zelensky. I don't think he's a president. I think he's a puppet. I don't respect a lot of things about the man. But the mayor of the capital city over there, Klitschko, I respect the man. I've watched him in many interviews, and I think that he actually cares about the people in that city. He actually cares about the country of Ukraine. I don't think the man's a sellout. And I think if he were running things, it would be a totally different ball game over there. But I really do. I can sympathize with the things he said in interviews and stuff. Zelensky, on the other hand, not so much. Um, Zelensky is egging on Putin, right? Loretta says. And by doing that and Putin ramping things up, then Zelensky's going to turn around and say, hey, we need this now. I don't know why it escalated. Here, we need this. Somebody had made the comment in the pre-chat before we went live, he's going to want stealth bombers next. I mean, it's just never ending, man. It's like a bad joke at this point. Okay, the chicken tender, I have a new channel and it is harder than I thought. It's not really hard for me anymore because again, I mean, it's like as Rob called it, Section 8 housing of YouTube the other morning. I just turned the camera on. Look, man, the aesthetic over here is what you thought it would be for somebody that was technically uninclined, but it's time consuming. Again, like yesterday, I watched a couple of hours of Pentagon briefings. The spokes lady, I can't remember her name. I think she's of Indian descent. She's 1,000 times better than the White House spokeswoman. 1,000 times better. She makes it make sense. She's very clear and concise. She's nice to people. I'm like, why is this lady not at the White House? Trying to get that clown show under control. But did you see my email? I need to check my emails, Amelia. Not avoiding you. I'm sorry. Where does the military aid end at the end of World War III to Lions Gates, or until the country just collapses? Watch out, Backwoods may use that stovepipe as an assault weapon. Well, I joke back and forth with him. I'm like, they're going to take your wood stove. If they show up in mass, they'll take it, but they might not all leave as they're going. They may come with 12 and only leave with 6 or something like that. Because I don't think he's just going to hand it to him. Yeah, the let me be clear lady. Let me be clear, blah, 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 talking in circles, giving Kamala Harris a run for the money. The Pentagon is not that way. Like, she's very attentive. She hears the question. She's immediately answering the question. And if she doesn't know, she doesn't pretend to know. She's like, I have no idea. I'll have to get back to you. They won't all leave, Backwoods said. I didn't figure. TV, the tanks will be destroyed before entering the first battle. Some of them possibly, because Russia, again, their ambassador yesterday also made the statement that they now view NATO countries as directly involved, meaning they're legitimate targets. If we find out, for example, Germany sending the Leopards, if we find out how they're coming over, we now feel that we're justified to knock them out. If there's a train going through Poland, they've got tanks on them, and we're able to hit said train and knock all the tanks out at one time, even if it's in Poland, we're ready to do it. Jim Shady White, wow, 5 months. I know, man. Love it here. Thank you for being here. And I actually didn't know you had a channel until this past week, Shady. I think you had posted on Facebook. I'm like, Shady has a channel here. What? So again, just like yesterday, if y'all have a channel, I mean, look, you've been here for 33 minutes this morning. If you have a channel, blast it out. Let people know. Because there are people that are new in here in this chat. They may not know that you have a channel. Peter O, how are we shipping these tanks? If it's by ship, they could sink it. So she was, the lady at the Pentagon was asked this yesterday, and she said, I have no idea. We haven't actually worked it out. And she admitted this may take a month or two before we finalize a way to get these over there safely. Now, the Leopard tanks, most of them are already in Europe. There are some in South America, and there are actually some, a lot of people don't know, in Canada. There's not a ton of them, but there are a few up there. But most are already in Europe. So it's a matter of getting them, probably on rail at that point. But the U.S., she admitted, she said it's going to be a logistical nightmare to get these Abrams over there. and we already know that. Um, I don't know how they're gonna fly that again, because we have one Russian sub that they kind of sort of know where it's at. It's their newest one that they just commissioned, but a second one is missing from port. This thing vanished, man. It's like it went into the Bermuda Triangle or something. Nobody knows where this thing is at, and it's very capable. It's capable enough to knock down a ship filled with Abrams tanks. And then they were saying, they'd asked the lady at the Pentagon, isn't this going to kind of lower our stockpile of Abrams tanks and stuff? Is this going to make us unready? And she admitted, she said, we've already put in an order. We're already working on getting some new ones built, but that's going to take some time. She said it's not an overnight thing. Outlaw Farms, okay. You have a channel and your subs are going up. That must be nice. To gain subscribers. Just wait till you get to the point where and you'll probably be there soon, where you gain some and YouTube takes some away, and then you have people blowing you up saying, "Hey, I was subscribed to your channel. Why did you unsubscribe?" And I'm like, "Why would a creator do that? I'm not unsubscribing anybody. I'm begging y'all to double check." YouTube is going to do what YouTube does. Shady, I appreciate it, brother. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Randy. So that is confirmed as well. When this announcement about the tanks and stuff was made, Russia actually went to the Taliban, and they are trying to work out a deal where they're going to purchase all of the equipment that we left behind for the Taliban. They're trying to work out a price, and then Russia's going to lift it, and they're going to take it right over to the Ukrainian war. And we left some stuff behind that can eliminate some of the stuff we're sending. I'll just say that. It was a very, very stupid move on our part to leave all of that equipment behind. But it's to be expected from the clown show that we have and his military, the top of the food chain in the military. They have no idea what they're doing. So now Russia is going to buy our equipment that we left behind for pennies on the dollar, and they're going to be able to repurpose it while they are mobilizing and producing their own up-to-date equipment. So we're paying. One way to look at this, okay, is we're paying for everything involved at some point. On both sides of the battlefield, the United States taxpayers paid for this. Now other countries are going to contribute and stuff, but it's just crazy, man. When you look at the situation, when you step back and you look at it, Russia for the last couple of months now, they've been using the Wagner Group, which is a commercial military mercenaries, former military, but also convicts that have been freed and stuff. So Russia's using them. We're using the Ukrainian soldiers. You talking about a proxy war? A war is being fought between the United States and Russia using two different forces. Are you kidding me? And we're paying for it. We're on the hook to pay for it. And the lady admitted yesterday at the Pentagon, they said, how are we going to do the repairs and things on the Abrams and all this stuff? And she said, we're going to foot the bill. She said, we've already decided. That's where they came up with the number 31, because she said these things are very, very expensive. And we didn't want to dive too much further into it because it's going to cost a lot of money. She said, we're going to take care of them now. We're going to support them in the foreseeable future. The tanks and everything else Ukraine needs. So, I mean, at least she had the balls to admit it, She ain't trying to hide from it. The lady at the White House, the speaker, I can't remember her name, Jean-Pierre, I think, she'd be like, I don't know. Look at the drapes up there. We did Captain Coral, and I can understand why. We named Wagner Group a criminal enterprise yesterday. So even if NATO is the bad guy in all of this, even if, and that's theoretical, the Wagner Group, they are filled with criminals. So they've been going around. For those that don't know, they go around to Russian prisons, people that ain't getting out for the next 30 years. They're like, would you like to fight? I think they get paid $3,000 a month, they said, when it translates to US dollars. Would you like to fight? Would you like to get out? You fight, you do a certain amount of service, you're a free man at that point. So they've been able to empty prisons out, train these guys for a couple of weeks, and then cut them loose. And even if NATO are the bad guys here, there are a lot of war crimes taking place because at the end of the day, these people are still criminal minded. Now they're free. Now they got a gun. Now they're getting paid to cause total chaos. So I do have a lot of sympathy for the Ukrainian citizens. I can understand why they don't want to be taken over by this group. Um, Having said that, our own president deals with the Taliban. You know, he's met them. He's trying to work out trade deals with them at one point, and I'm like, there's really not a huge difference here. We're both working with bad guys at some point. So, I mean, it just I can see why they deemed them a terror organization. I just wish they would have went a little bit further and said, so's the WEF, so's NATO, so's the UN, you know, and the EU. They're all terror organizations. $80 billion. Honeysuckle Farm says there's $80 billion worth of equipment with a B that was left behind. Russia will go in with 50 million and buy it all up now. Not because they want to sell it that cheap, but they're afraid of Russia. I mean, straight up, they're afraid of Russia. Russia has allies in the region, so they're going to pay whatever they want to pay for this equipment. Yeah, Days, that's pretty accurate when it comes to their training. And because they've been clearing prisons out, that's why they've made gains in the past, couple of months against Ukraine. Ukraine, it was a static line, meaning it's not really moving too much back and forth. And then they start throwing tens of thousands of armed convicts at the Ukrainian soldiers, and they've had to give up some room there. And Russia's doing this while they're getting their main force ready, I think, for the spring. And then NATO, now they're trying to rush tanks and stuff over, and the Patriot system and stuff, and they're trying to train Ukrainians and have them ready by the spring. Spring is going to be total chaos. Thank you, Amelia. Go to the Dollar Tree, buy up enough plastic tarp and duct tape to make one safe room in your home. Prepper tip for the day. Thank you very much for that. I hope it doesn't come to that. I really do. I hope it doesn't get down to, because warfare is so much different than it was 50 years ago, My understanding is Salt Lake City would be the safest. That region would be one of the safer regions in the United States, yes. Will Russia pay in gold? Jackie, I have no idea. Russia has locked down a lot of things that the rest of the world needs. So, they can go to the Taliban. They can say, hey, we'll pay you in gold. We'll pay you in rubles. We'll pay you in grain that we took from Ukraine. Who knows? And it's not like the Taliban's going to sit there and say no, because that's one of the few countries I think they fear. War pigs are going to war pig. Prepper Book Club. There's actually it's a B movie. It's free to stream. It's called War Pigs, and it's for a B movie. It's not terrible, but I mean, I've seen better. Not in American dollars, that's for sure. Todd Prepared said. Taliban don't want the U.S. dollar. They like, get out of here with that trash. I hope not. Recumbent revolution. It's going to be like the Book of Eli. I hope not. I mean, if we get into a situation, and this would be horrific, where nukes are volleying back and forth country to country, it would. I mean, it would get to that extent in certain areas, but I would hope that our leaders have enough sense, even Putin, even Biden and his advisors, because the first one that goes flying, there are going to be 10 more that come back. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't end well for anybody. There's no win in a situation like that. Ghost, what's going on? Any chance Melissa Dodd, I'm not laughing at your comment. I'm laughing at the fact that that's how pitiful our leadership is. Melissa Dodd says, any chance we can outbid Russia for our own equipment that we should have never have left behind in the first place? I I shouldn't be laughing because the Biden administration, they really are that stupid. They left it behind because they didn't know what they were doing. They probably will be stupid enough to try and outbid Russia on equipment that's actually technically ours in the first place. Um, I mean, that's just how far down we are right now. Um, okay, Robin. John, I have one I didn't know about. Kelly, let me know. Oklahoma Jim says nope. Not even the Biden administration is that stupid. Well, they're pretty dumb, but I don't know if the Taliban want to deal with us. Carl says the groundhog is predicting 6 weeks of nuclear winter. Not good. We should pool our money together and outbid them. How much money y'all got out there? I ain't got enough to outbid Russ. Are you kidding? eh. Well, I was laughing there for a second. I kind of got sick at my stomach here. Somebody said that Cackling Kamala behind enemy lines says Cackling Kamala is about to come off the bench. Lord, I hope not. I hope not. And then you have to then you get into a situation where we're supposed to have an election in 2024. And that's assuming a lot. That's assuming we're still here. That's assuming the country's not on fire, whatever. Supposed to have an election. But if we're wrapped up in a world war, these people can say, hey, we need to postpone this thing or we need to give Biden extra time. He's at war right now. We can't really, it would unstabilize things. We can have this guy for the next 20 years. Can y'all understand what that would look like? What is he, 80 right now? 401k. What 401k? People got 401k left, Kiki? Bear Paw, that's messed up. She's not coming off the bench, maybe from under it, though. Yeah, Michael, I never thought of that. They make certain rules up on the fly during a time of war, and especially if the war is popular with the people at home. Like, again, getting back to the false flag that I hope we don't have. If we were to have one and people were, if they get the average American from we really can't afford a war to, oh my God, I demand our country goes to war right now. If they have that kind of attitude, they'll have no problem keeping Biden there. They'll have no problem postponing an election or whatever they have to do. And it seems crazy that people's attitude would change, but I promise you, if you take a look at September 11th, okay, which was terrible. If you take a look at September 11th, prior to that, we would have been against war and we would have been against having our privacy taken away, right? After September 11th, again, and I've said this, I think that was a false flag, or that we were, at the very least, we were lied to about the true reason for that. People in the United States shifted and they were demanding that we go over there. And they were like, please take my rights away. Please jam the Patriot Act through. And we lost a lot of freedoms at that point, over one event. And getting back to what I was saying earlier, that's how these globalists think. They're looking at the chessboard and they're saying, this one move could give us a huge advantage and we could execute agendas. We could get exactly what we want. There just has to be an event. And then I was thinking about it yesterday because McBean had said in chat, He said, "Isn't it strange that we're starting to see all of the sudden all of these mass deals, especially in California?" And one thing that most of us are guilty of, and I've heard this comment a lot, here off camera and stuff with friends, but also online, is anytime there's a mass event and you see it on social media, you see two things. You see two common comments. The first is gun control now, but the second is, what is wrong with people? This world has gone crazy. Most of us have said that. And if they just are stringing us along, it's kind of like you get numb to it. You hear it so much that you just assume anything can happen. That people really are crazy and anything can happen. If there's a horrific level event like that, people are not going to ask, "Hey, is this a false flag?" They're going to say, "What? Oh my God, this world is crazy. What is wrong with people?" That sort of thing. So this is how they usher in false flags. They set them up. It's little, it's little, it's little, and then boom. And I'm hoping that's not what's going on. But the WEF just met last week. And I promise you, they're sitting around in a room. How can we execute this, this, and this? These people are smart. I don't like them. I think they're Satanists, but they are smart when it comes to manipulating the masses. Let me see. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Yeah, to a degree, Max Havoc. Except when you see it so much, you just assume you're going to wake up every day and see a wolf. It ain't even about crying wolf anymore. Because, yeah, they're definitely evil. Michelle 1776, these people, they don't even hide from the fact that they're evil. They'll put it right there in front of your face. And for those that don't know, the way Satanists believe, okay, they have a code, believe it or not. And their deal is they believe in karma. They believe bad things are going to happen to them unless they tell their victims what's happening. They believe, I'm serious, they believe as long as they're telling you outright what they're doing, what is happening to you, it's not going to come back on them in the end. And that is why they put so much symbolism and stuff. That is why they will make certain statements. For example, you can go back, not kidding, you can go back 20 years, 15 years, you can see Mr. Gates. And he's talking about, hey, a pandemic would take care of this. All we need to do is this, this, and this, and then you have it happen. So he's sitting back resting on his laurels, and he's thinking, well, I warned them. I told them what they needed to know, because they believe if they tell you what's coming and you sit around and take it anyway, that it's your fault, that you're weak. This is how they believe. And you'll see lots and lots of symbolism in Hollywood stuff. You'll see it on packaging of certain things. There are a couple of energy drinks that have the symbolism and stuff on there. They're putting it right in your face. And they're letting you know, hey, we're doing this to you. Yeah, Carolyn says the WEF comes from a long line of Satanists, and they're not going to give up power. They're going to do whatever they have to do to stay in power. I personally believe, now this is opinion on my part, I believe that we're always talking about the US dollar dying and being replaced with something else or being reset or whatever the case may be. I think that began with 9/11. I think that the World Trade Center was targeted for that reason, because they were telling the world, hey, we're getting off of this and we're switching to something else. These people are truly evil. And again, they look at Americans as expendable, or any other country for that matter, citizens of any other country. So to these people, whomever is responsible for 9/11, they were looking at the people in the Twin Towers and they were thinking expendable. We're going to accomplish, an agenda. This is what it is. And then the people that were involved, they dialed the phone. They said, I'm not coming into work today, hanging out with the fam, Patriot Act was born after 9/11. I don't think that our entire government. Here's the thing. Y'all let me know what you think in chat, but I don't think the entire government is compromised. But I think that there's kind of a conspiracy time. I think there's kind of a shadow government within the government that is running things. I really do. And I've thought this for a very, very long time. And they're directly connected to the WEF and the people that are running the WEF. Now, again, who is directly involved in our government? I have no idea. I would not have any way to know that. But they execute things in a certain pattern. And once you figure out the pattern and the way these people think, this is how you're able to predict a recession before it happens. This is how you're able to predict a world war before there's been any sort of invasion. This is how you try and predict false flags and things. And I've never met anybody that has been able to do this more than Alex Jones. This man stays above the target 95% of the time. He has their formula down pat. This is why they do not want this man's word to spread, because he seriously, he throws the dirt out on them each and every day. Katrinka, welcome to the coffee club, man. Thank you very much. And you're getting good with the shorts. Let me just say, the short videos. I've even thought about that, man. I'll do a live stream. Not kidding. I'll lose subscribers today from this live stream. But then I can film like a little cheesy 30-second short video and I can pop it up there and I'll gain subscribers. And I'm like, well, maybe that's what people want. Maybe they don't want live streams anymore. Maybe I just do a 30-second video every day. That seems to be the new norm. I don't know. I enjoy this. I enjoy chatting back and forth with y'all. But you know what I'm saying? It's what y'all want at the end of the day. Not a joke, man. Testudo, you must be new here. That's just the demeanor. That's how I approach everything. I'm not saying it's a joke. Beretta Vandy, too many people with short attention spans. I totally agree. And it continues to get shorter, right? 10 seconds in, somebody's done with the video. 15 seconds, they're done with it. Short attention spans. The way I do it is I'll randomly throw in a short video every month or something. I'm terrible with the shorts, man. TikTok culture. You're correct. Backwoods, yeah, I've heard that as well. A lot of creators are doing those. YouTube is pushing the shorts. I think they're trying to compete with Snapchat and all that, Instagram. So if you do a short video, they feature you on the front page and everybody sees you. But if you do a longer live stream and you're talking about important stuff, they throw you back, in the corner with people that are eating their own boogers and they're just like, stay back here. Nobody's ever going to see you, son. So do we have anything else before we jetting off here for the day? You don't have to be sorry, Days. Days says, sorry, I don't do Battlebox. You don't have to be sorry. It's not a problem. I'll actually, the window lickers, Michelle, I'll close with that. Battlebox. Okay, so they sell survival gear, tactical gear. Their spokesperson is Brandon. So I was following Brandon on YouTube before he became their spokesperson. I was a fan of his channel. He used to review all kinds of gear and stuff before he got that job. And I've always enjoyed his content. He's on YouTube still as Curran 1776. I found out through the grapevine they needed a few people to review gear. I reached out to him. The next thing I know, I'm reviewing gear for him. But I could care less if people are in a battle box or not, if they want to buy it or not. That's not why I really do those videos. I just enjoy doing them. I enjoy showing the gear off and stuff like that. And it helps when you go camping, you got a little extra gear, right? I'd have to be an idiot not to do that. Um, I mean, straight up, you know, you get an email from the guy and he's like, hey, you know, if we send you our top box every month, are you willing to review it or whatever? Yes, send it on, son. I'll review it. But anyway, folks, I appreciate y'all being here this morning. John, it's your birthday. No, no. But thank you anyway for all the happy birthday wishes, guys and gals. I appreciate it. I will see y'all on the flip side. Until then, y'all take care and God bless.